Hello, everyone. Welcome to another
Hi.
edition of the Ubuntu Community broadcast. My name is Michael Hall. I'm a community manager here at Canonical, and I'm joined by David Calais, who's also a community manager here at Canonical. We do these broadcasts every week. We do them all from ubuntuonair.com, where you will see this video, and then immediately below this video, you'll see a chat window where you can join the conversations that are happening on IRC, and that's also where we will be looking for questions. We will answer questions from anybody about just about any topic. We ask that you start them with the word question in all capital letters. That way we get a highlight and we don't miss them. If you don't do that, then there's a chance that we might not see your question. If you have your own IRC client, we are on #ubuntu-on-air on Freenode IRC. So you can use that too if you don't want to use the embedded chat window. All right, so we usually start out with some updates and move on from to questions from there. But if you have any questions you want to start asking now, feel free. We will just queue them up and we will come back and answer them in the order that they've come in. So in terms of updates, one of the big things that we're just recently wrapping up is the scope development contest that David has been running for us for the past couple of months. So David, do you want to give us an update on that?
Sure. So the contest ended. It's been 2 weeks now, and no, we have I think it's 16 entries that are being judged right now. We have a panel of 10 judges, and they are currently reviewing all the scopes. We should have all the results by the end of the week, maybe beginning of the next one. And I don't know if you have tried these new scopes. Basically, you look at the store and look for new scopes. For example, there is, let me see, there is the command line scope, there is a free sound scope, a Pokédex scope, RSS reader, on-cloud files, a lot of very cool stuff. So you should really give it a try. And I think most of these entries have used a lot of the new features of scopes, like departments and filters and really advanced previews, music playing directly in the dash. It's very nice. There is a very new feeling to these entries. So yeah, give them a try, and we'll have the result of the contest most likely early next week. And there are quite a few prizes on the balance for these scope authors. For them, we have a Meerkat PC, System 76 Meerkat PC. We have a few Ubuntu phones, Raspberry Pi 2, some convergence packs, which are wireless Bluetooth, wireless mouse and keyboards for your phones. So yeah, it was a nice contest to run and to organize, and I'm really looking forward to announcing the winners.
Now, the contest has really highlighted the new JavaScript bindings that we have for scopes. Have all of the entries used JavaScript, or are some of them also using C?
No, I think that 8 of the 16 entries have been using JavaScript, and the others have been using C++ and Go.
Okay.
And
awesome.
yeah, it has really demonstrated the flexibility of the JavaScript bindings, because some parts, for example, some part of the API that was not supposed to be accessible via JavaScript because they are still in an early state, developers have found a way to access these API parts. So it was really fun to see all the development and all the bug fixes and collaboration that came from this contest into the Scopes projects.
All right. The other big update that I wanted to hit on is the switch in Ubuntu to Gnome software instead of the Ubuntu Software Center. So this is something that's been underway for a little while now, and I just recently wrote calling for help from the community to make that transition even better. If you go to mhall119.com, it's the first blog post on there right now called Make Gnome Software Beautiful. So what we need help with is getting some better icons for a lot of apps that are already in the archives. A lot of them ship with small images because that's all that was used in the old style menus. But we need some bigger, nicer looking icons to display them in the GNOME software store and also in the Unity desktop. So I've written up an article explaining how to go find those icons, how to get them into Upstream, and then get them into Ubuntu to help make that a much nicer experience for 1604. So if anybody's interested, this is a great first contributor thing to do because it doesn't require a lot of technical knowledge or skills. You're mostly just doing the legwork of finding icons and talking to people. So it's a great way to get started. I'm here to help you with any roadblocks that you come up with. You can also join #Ubuntu-desktop, and you can ask the people in there for help as well. Okay, do we have any other updates, David?
No, I think that's it.
All right. We have a couple of calls for help that I wanted to put out. Oh, go ahead. Or is that what you were going to talk about?
No, I was going to talk about the questions, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So just real quick, there have been a couple of teams that have put out a call for help recently. People have moved on and they need to restaff. So the first of those is the Ubuntu Weekly newsletter. This is a great wiki page that goes out once a week, and it just highlights the things that have been happening all over the Ubuntu project. We do these weekly Q&As, but we only scratch the surface on the work that's going on in any given week in Ubuntu. So the weekly newsletter is a great way for people to keep up with progress that's happening all over the project, and they're always in need of additional editors and contributors to that. So if you enjoy writing, get in touch with them. I think they're in #Ubuntu-doc, or you can look for Plia2 on just about any Ubuntu channel, really, but #Ubuntu-community-team is a good one for that. She can tell you how to get involved. I think Jose Antonio Reyes is involved in that. I think Ronnie Tucker's involved in that. So a lot of really good community people who are running those things. They just need a few more hands to help make the workload a little bit lighter. And in the same vein, the Edubuntu project is also in need of some additional help. It's been running on the work of 1 or 2 people for quite a while now, but they want to, continue making a really nice Ubuntu flavor for schools and school administrators and teachers. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, they can always use some help. I'm sure they've got a wide variety of things that you can do to help them with that also.
All right. Looks like we have a few questions already. Faraday is asking, when a closed driver for Mir? I'm not sure I fully understand the question.
So currently, in terms of graphic driver support for Mir, we have built that into the open source graphic drivers for Intel, and I believe also the open source AMD and NVIDIA drivers that we have. So those should all work for Mir. NVIDIA just recently announced that in the latest proprietary driver that they have, that they've added Mir support to that, in addition to Wayland support and KMS and some other goodies that are in there. That was announced, I think, yesterday, so that's not available in Ubuntu just yet, but hopefully we'll get there soon. Farone did specify a little bit later on that he was asking about AMD drivers for Mir. I haven't heard anything about that for their proprietary driver. I have heard that they're re-architecting a bunch of stuff so that their proprietary driver is going to be heavily based on their open source driver, or at least part of an open source driver. So the code may go into the open source part of that. It may go into the closed source part. I'm not entirely sure. AMD is the best people to ask that question to.
Manu is asking, what are the possible launch dates for the BQ Ubuntu tablet? and Meizu Pro 5 Ubuntu Edition. It's the BQ-M10, of course.
So people who have been watching are probably sick of us saying it, but we don't know when the launch dates are going to be. The OEMs decide that, and they're going to be the ones to announce that. So what I would suggest you do is go find both BQ and Meizu on Google+, Twitter, Facebook. Follow them, and when that announcement happens, you'll be able to see it that way. All right, T. Simon Q2 is asking, what's your favorite Ubuntu device on the market right now?
That's a hard question, but I think that my personal favorite is the BQ E5. I think it's really great and works well. What
So
about
I've been using the Nexus 4 as my daily driver. That's really the only device I've had a whole lot of time to use. I have seen the Meizu MX4, which is a really nice looking phone. It's got a nice huge screen on it, a lot of power behind it, and the MX5 is looking to be even better than that. So the MX5 is, I think, the one I'm most excited about right now.
Right.
Libre Sponge is asking, how do I make a beer advocate scope?
Good question. I don't know what beer advocate is, but I can imagine what it's about. I guess you should look for a beer advocate API or beer advocate web service, or eventually look into web scraping. It's rather easy these days with JavaScript. So yeah, look into the things. Simon2, Mike, you are muted.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to mention there's already an untapped scope that I think Chris Wayne wrote.
Yeah.
So if you just look beer-related scope, that's a great way to find out about beers and which ones your friends are drinking, and they've got like ratings and reviews on all of them and all that stuff.
Simon2 is asking, when is the plan for Snappy, Unity 8, and Mir to be on the desktop image? If you don't know exactly, what's your guess? Mike, you are muted.
Again, we're taking kind of a staged approach. There's going to be some initial Snappy support on the desktop for 1604. That's going to be targeting mostly existing desktop apps and just giving us a faster route to get updates to those out to users, and also to work out all of the use cases in terms of Snappy on the desktop. As far as Unity 8 and Mir, there should be a preview session in 1604 that you can run, but they're not going to be the default until enough people are using them daily and we've worked out enough of the bugs and the use cases to make it a suitable replacement for Unity 7.
The Best is asking, why can legacy apps like GIMP, LibreOffice, etc. not run on Mir directly? Why is the need for Xmir?
So a lot of them have some X-specific things that are going on. Like LibreOffice, I think, has their own UI toolkit that expects to be drawing to X. GIMP, even though it uses GTK, it probably also has a lot of specific things to speed up drawing of images. So a lot of that might require actual porting work to use Mir instead of X. There's also a lot of things that have nothing to do with the graphics themselves, but with the confinement that apps would experience under Click or Snappy. So not being able to read or write to arbitrary users-based directories, but instead having to go through like Content Hub or something. So without rewriting or patching a bunch of these apps, the easiest way is to just give them a safe little space where they can run as they always have run. So that's what Xmir provides for us.
LibreSponge is asking, why is there no mention of multi-boot on the Ubuntu wiki? Surely you are not so arrogant to overstate the importance of dual boot on devices, are you? Well, I've been a multi-boot user myself on the Nexus 5 like last year, and yeah, multi-boot is great. I'm not sure why it's not mentioned in the wiki.
Yeah, I know we've mentioned it in a few places before. It may have been on the developer portal instead of the wiki. It's certainly not because we don't think dual boot's important. It's just because, it's not a use case that we're currently supporting. It's not one we're promoting. Our focus is just on Ubuntu right now, not on making it work with Android installed also on the device. But if anybody wants to take over that work or documentation for that work, I mean, the wiki's open to community edits. It's not just Canonical that's maintaining these pages. So if anybody's familiar with multi-boot and can document the process of getting it set up and getting Ubuntu images on there and wants to maintain the content of the page with what works and what doesn't, then more power to them. Please log into the wiki and start doing that for us.
Simon2 is asking, have you tried LexQt? Well, I haven't tried. I've heard about it last year, and I thought it was a nice idea, but I haven't had the time to try it yet. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I haven't tried it either yet. I really like the thought of a lightweight Qt desktop like LXQt. I think there's going to be a lot of people who want to be able to run something like that. So I'm looking forward to watching what they're doing, but I haven't tried it yet myself.
Simon2 is asking, what's the difference between X and Mir? If they're the same concept, have there been benchmark tests?
Quite a bit. Without going into too much technical detail, Mir is lighter in terms of implementation. It doesn't try and cover as many use cases as X did. Specifically, it doesn't try to cover use cases that aren't really happening as much now as they were when X first started. It's closer to the hardware. It's expecting everything to happen on the same machine instead of spreading stuff out across different machines. So more lightweight, more compact, simpler code, basically. Also, one of the big things that we get from Mir is it lets us properly confine apps, because in X11, any app that's run by the user can look at the screen and catch the input going into any other app run by the user. So if you're running, somebody's third-party game on your desktop at the same time you've got the browser running and you're logging into your bank, there's technically nothing stopping that game from reading the password to your bank account information as you type it into the browser. So Mir gives us that better confinement. Apps can only see input that's meant to be for them and not for other apps, and they're not allowed to read the content of the window of other apps. And I think we missed one from LibreSponge, who says, I'm trying ad viral. I guess he's saying he's trying to do viral ad marketing, but was chastised today. Not sure how to proceed. Without being familiar with what happened or who chastised you and for what, I don't know really what advice to give you. If you can give us some more context on that, we can probably give you a better answer.
Levan is asking, when will we get close to Android performance? Right now, Ubuntu Touch is slow and feasts on batteries. I almost broke my Nexus while waiting for Contact app to open. I'm not disrespecting anyone, but I'm just saying what my experience is.
So there's a lot of performance work going on right now, both in app startup time and general UI toolkit components, and some other behind-the-scenes stuff to make it a little bit faster than it is. I don't know if we're going to hit Android performance specifically, because their code is specifically made for their devices and their use cases as a phone or a tablet. With us trying to cover the entire run of devices from phones to desktops, we have to consider a little bit more and allow a little bit more. and that might always affect our performance a little bit. As far as battery goes, though, I think we're already hitting Android's battery performance pretty well. I've heard a lot of people say they get longer battery life on Ubuntu than on Android on their Nexus phones. I know some of them, like the Nexus 5, is not so great. There's some bug in a driver or something that keeps the phone awake, and that uses up a lot of battery. But that's always going to be a bug and not anything specific to the design or overall way Ubuntu works on these devices. I think overall we're good on battery. I don't think that's a problem for us.
Yes, I tend to agree about battery life. It's really good, and it is on the very good side. Regarding speed performance, the SDK team has made a blog post recently about how they're going to focus on porting most of the components to C++ and to highly increase the performance of apps. So that's something to look forward this year.
All right. T Simon Q2 asks, what's the status of the wiki, wiki.ubuntu.com, and also help.ubuntu.com/community? So for those who don't know, we got hit by quite a bit of spam on our wiki back at the start of the year. And as a result, we ended up locking it down so that most people weren't allowed to edit the wiki. That stopped the spam from coming in, but it really doesn't make a useful wiki if it's not open for a lot of people to edit. We tried unlocking it, and the spam just all came right back. So for the time being, what we've done is we've opened it up to specific Launchpad teams to edit. And the one we chose is the Ubuntu-Etherpad team, because we use that to control spam on the Etherpad also. There's a lot of people who are already members of it. There's some sub-teams that are members of it, so that gives a lot of people easy access. So if you want to edit the wiki and you find that when you log in everything's immutable, it's probably because you're not on the Ubuntu Etherpad team. Just go there, request to join. Somebody will review your request. Usually what happens is they look at your Launchpad page, and if they seem that you've been active in Ubuntu at all, then they'll let you in under the assumption that you're not a spammer. But if you have a new Launchpad account, or you have a Launchpad page that shows no activity at all, then you will probably be declined, in which case if you get a decline on membership, just reply back to that saying, you know, what you wanted to edit on the wiki, and let them know that you're not a spammer. It's sad that we have to put these restrictions in place, but it really is the best of a set of bad options that we had.
Bjorn is asking, I want to ask about the Bluetooth bug. Ubuntu has pretty much problems to connect to car audio systems, speakerphone feature. This is a security feature, and I guess this important bug is not right in the focus. Thanks a lot. Yes, I would tend to agree. I have not been able to hook up my Nexus 4 to my car. Maybe Mike had a different experience.
Well, I don't have Bluetooth in my car, so I really can't comment on it. I've got a Bluetooth speaker in my house that I've never had an issue connecting to, and Bluetooth headphones also that I can. I don't know what's different about connecting to a car that's different from the just regular Bluetooth speaker. Generally, we can't say too much on bugs like this because, you know, we're not involved in the nitty-gritty development side of Ubuntu. If you have specific questions about that, it's better to go to one of the engineers who's working on it.
LibreSponge is asking, as a DokuWiki member, is wiki.ubuntu.com changing to DokuWiki anytime soon, as discussed on the community mailing list, or are we stuck with Moin Moin for over a decade?
That's still an ongoing discussion. I don't think anybody's ready to make a decision on that yet. DokuWiki was definitely one of the front runners in terms of options for replacing Moin. But at this point, I don't think we've even all decided that Moin is going to be replaced. That's an ongoing discussion. And if you want to be part of it and add your perspective and opinions, go to the Ubuntu Community Team mailing list where that conversation's already started and reply to those.
Simon is asking, what's the status of the Ubuntu Online Tour? Where can I find the code? And have you ever used it or recommended it to anyone? I think that this code is on Launchpad. I'm not sure where exactly.
Yeah, I think Ubuntu-website or Ubuntu-website-content is where most of the primary website code is, but I don't know if the tour is a separate project on Launchpad or not.
I'm wondering if it has a separate page, because there actually is a package in the archive called Ubuntu Online Tour. So it should have a dedicated Launchpad page. Sorry.
Could be. All right, T. Simon is asking, what's the next Ubuntu-related conference? Do you know of one? So in terms of in-person conference, I think the next one is UbuCon in Europe, which is going to be in November in Germany. So that's the next specifically Ubuntu one in person. We also have the Ubuntu Online Summit coming up in May, and that's where we plan out a lot of the work that's going into the next release. The format's very similar to this. There's going to be multiple sessions, but they're all going to have a Google Hangout video that you can watch and an IRC channel that you can join. Or if you want to be part of the actual conversation on the video, you can join the Hangout most of the time too for those. If you go to summit.ubuntu.com, you can get the dates and times for that. We are just now starting to put together a schedule, so we're looking for a lot of sessions to add to that. It will grow over the course of the next month as we get people to commit to sessions and get those added to the list.
LibreSponge is asking, can I do an audio only YouTube event for the UDS, or do I have to reveal myself?
You can do audio only.
Yeah, it's
I know a lot of people.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't have a webcam or don't feel comfortable being on camera, so that's fine. And there'll be other people in the Hangout too. Probably some will be on video and some won't. But it's certainly not a requirement to participate in UOS to be on camera.
Simon is asking, what's the Ubuntu Community team and what its significance in the Ubuntu community? Does it have anything to do with the canonical community team?
So we kind of use those phrases interchangeably depending on context. Usually, their Ubuntu community team and canonical community team mean the same thing. Within canonical, we're referred to as the Ubuntu community team because our responsibility is the Ubuntu community. Oftentimes when we're dealing with the community or in a community the community council setting, we specifically say the canonical community team just so that we don't confuse people with what we're talking about. But generally it's interchangeable. It's me, it's David Calais here, Daniel Holbach, who everybody knows, Alan Pope, who everybody knows. It was Nick Skaggs, but he's now moving out of our team over to work closer with the Juju team. And of course, we're all, our whole team is being managed by David Planella, who is DPM on IRC. So yeah, same team, different names, depending on what we need to be specific about.
LibreSponge is asking me what's my Twitter, IRC, and Google Plus handle. I'm pretty much David Calais everywhere I can be. I'm quite terrible with Twitter, so I don't have an active account right now. Probably will in the near future, but not yet. So yeah, it's mostly Google Plus and IRC. It's David Calais.
Seb asks, how long have these been going on for? And you should know because I know you've been watching these for quite a while. So as far as it being the community team Q&A, that's been happening since John O'Bacon left Canonical a year and a half ago, almost 2 years now, I think. Before that, it was his Q&A that he would do every week for I don't even know how long before that. I was watching those before I even joined Canonical. So this is a tradition that's been going on for at least 5 years now, probably quite a bit more than that. Which is really awesome considering we're still getting a lot of really good questions when we come on every week. We always have something to talk about. People are always interested. So it's really nice to see that we've managed to maintain that level of interest and momentum.
So Seb is asking about release dates for the BQ tablet and Meizu phone, and as Mike said earlier, pretty much each week, it's up to BQ and Meizu to reveal these dates.
Yeah, they'll announce it when they're ready. Usually it's within like a week or so of the actual launch they make the announcement. Just because up until you've got everything ready to go, you know, all the software's ready, all the production's ready, you start having tablets rolling off the conveyor belt. Until you get to that point, you don't know specifically when you're going to start selling them. But it'll be, again, the OEM who announces that.
Simon is asking, what are you excited for in the next, say, year in the Ubuntu community?
I am most excited about Snappy on the desktop. We've shown that the idea of getting apps directly to users quickly, letting them do it, letting developers do it themselves instead of having to go through a middleman package maintainer, that works really well. And users enjoy it and developers enjoy it. Having that on the desktop and replacing the old software store and the old way of getting third-party apps to desktop users is, I think, going to be a huge success for us, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Yes, same for me. I've been playing a lot with Snappy in the last week, and it's a very exciting and new world in the way apps are handled, and just the way every bits and pieces of the desktop work with each other. And well, desktop and pretty much every other device. I'm also very excited about Unity 8 on the desktop. I think we'll have a pretty solid session for 16.10, and I don't think it will be the default, but it will be a great place to experiment. And it's always great to have a fresh desktop.
All right, LibreSponge says, what about multi-boot on the wiki? As I mentioned before, if you want to add it to the wiki, please add it to the wiki. All we ever need to do something on the wiki is somebody who's willing to do it.
Seb is asking, ZFS in Ubuntu 16.04 that has potential licensing issues, it seems. Why does Canonical think it's safe to provide it?
So as Dustin Kirkland explained in his blog post about it, we have lawyers. The lawyers looked over the licenses and discussed it among themselves. We discussed it with outside lawyers, and the consensus that we were given was that it's okay to ship these together the way they are. We're not violating the spirit of either licenses, and as long as everybody's okay with us being in the spirit of it, which as long as we're in the spirit of it, I don't see why they wouldn't be, then there's not going to be a problem.
LibreSponge and Chloe Wolfigure are asking what's happening with the head.
Still no update on that. Yeah. Go bug John Lee. We need to get John Lee on here just so that people can grill him for an hour on the HUD.
I agree. Levan is asking, I love Ubuntu, been using it since 8.04, but how can I advocate Ubuntu Touch? I was showing off my Ubuntu Touch when my friends pointed out that it performance as good as a $4 Indian Android phone. He was correct, so unless Ubuntu gets a huge performance boost, I don't think it will succeed.
So we mentioned earlier that there's a big performance push going on right now. People have been shifted from their regular tasks to focus specifically on performance for the next several weeks at least. So I expect we'll see some big improvements in that area. Not in OTA 10 because that's getting ready to go out now, but maybe in OTA 11, if not certainly, almost certainly in OTA 12. So I think the long story short there is that we're aware that performance is an issue and we are working hard to bring that closer to where we want it to be and closer to where Android is right now.
Simon is asking, is it worth it to bring ZFS to Ubuntu, or do you think the licensing issues and porting and such just doesn't make worth it? Would you use ZFS if this does go through?
There are a lot of benefits to using ZFS, and a lot of people have wanted to, and a lot of people already are using either the Fuse module or installing it themselves. So there's a lot of demand for it. There's obviously features in it that people like. I think it's going to be worth it. It's not something I'm going to run on my personal laptop because the people who understand it say there's not much to gain on my personal laptop. But if you're running like cloud stuff, there's probably a lot of things that you'll benefit from having ZFS there.
Chloe Walsh-Girl is asking, any update about the Messenger app that will allow plugins for things like Jabber and in the future WhatsApp if it exists?
No update on that. Maybe we can get somebody to run a session on it at UOS, though, to give a progress report and lay out the roadmap for it over the next cycle.
Yeah, maybe I have a small update on this. I've been watching pretty closely the messaging app repo on Launchpad, and there are a few branches that are about mixing several services in the same view. I'm pretty sure some of these bits have landed. It's maybe not very visible on the phone, but I think it's pretty close to accept messaging plugins with the new layout and the new attachment option to messages. It's all set up to move forward in this direction. So I think it should be pretty soon.
All right, Subsub asks, do you think that Ubuntu 16.10 will actually have Unity 8 and Mir by default? Again, I don't think anybody knows when it's going to be the default. That's going to have to be something that's decided when it's ready to be the default. Yeah, not much update there. We'll see how it goes with the preview session in 16.04 and how much progress it makes between 16.04 and 16.10, and it'll be decided sometime in that release cycle whether it becomes the default or not.
LibreSpawn is asking, as far as translations, what do I contribute when my language is the main primary language that Ubuntu is coded in? Should I find advice on which language is to submit to? The translation deadline is closing.
So I guess he's asking, how do you contribute to translations if your primary language is already English? Yeah, I don't have a real good answer for that.
No.
I guess go ask the translations team.
Yeah. This probably should be asked to the translation mailing list.
Right, T. Simon asks, what's Mark Shuttleworth up to these days? He is his official acronym. But what's Mark up to these days? Mostly flying around from conference to conference, giving presentations on things like Snappy, Juju, Maz, all the stuff that's going on there.
Levan is asking, have you heard about Ubuntu BSD? What do you think?
So yeah, that's been making the rounds this week. It's a pretty interesting idea. Debian had a variation that used a BSD kernel. So I guess they're doing something similar to that. I think it's a neat idea. I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with it.
Simon, we keep talking about the future, but what are you excited for in the Xenial release? Wily versus Xenial, Trusty versus Xenial, Precise even versus Xenial. For those who don't know, what's the status of Xenial and when will it be released?
So Xenial is the code name for the Ubuntu 16.04 release, which is going to be out at the end of next month. It's also the next long-term support release, so it's going to be supported for 5 years, getting security updates. Again, like I said earlier, I'm excited about Snappy on the desktop. Xenial is going to be the first release with that. It's going to be something that's going to be able to get updates over the 5-year lifetime of that release. So I think some really cool things are going to come out of that. I think it's going to show where we're going with everything else, and really things will start to make a lot more sense once you start using that. I'm looking forward to being able to install apps using Snappy and get the latest updates from them that way.
And I think there are maybe one controversial thing to get excited on the desktop is that you can move the launcher on the bottom now.
Yeah, I'm less excited about that.
Well, I've been using it since Friday, I think, and it's kind of growing on me. I was not expecting it, but I'm starting to like it. Also, this release brings a lot of stability to Unity. We have been using Unity since it was Natty, I think, and it has been a wild ride, and things are in a very solid state right now. So it's always nice to have a desktop that will just work and has been proven to work well over the years. So more stability on that front, a lot of small bugs. It's just nice. It's a comfy environment now, and I like Xenial for this too. Mike,
The next
question
one,
for you.
like is, yeah, for me. Sub asks, why did I give up on making my own Ubuntu distro, and what similar project am I doing instead? So a little bit of background. I once ran an Ubuntu derivative called Qimo. It was Qimo. It was a distro designed specifically for young kids to use in a home environment. So it complemented Ubuntu in a way, because Ubuntu was really geared towards a classroom environment, and mine was geared towards an at-home thing, offline stuff. I started developing that when my son was 4 years old and my daughter was 3. They had just started using Ubuntu, and I needed a simplified interface for them. Now, however, my son is almost 12 years old, so he's really kind of outgrown the kid-friendly interface. They've both been using standard Ubuntu with Unity for a couple of years now. So really, it doesn't scratch my itch anymore to make a kid's distro. So I haven't been developing that in a while. I have now started on a game, an Android game for kids to teach literacy. I'm actually doing it as part of the X Prize contest. So if anyone's interested in that, I have a new website up. It's raisingphoenicia.com. If anyone's interested in helping me, I'd love to have some help there. But yeah, Qimo sadly has lived its life out. There's some other good distros out there. Ubuntu is still a good one. There's a couple of others that are designed for home use the way Qimo was. So there's still plenty of choices for people who want it.
Now that I have young kids myself, I think I would enjoy something like Qimo, actually.
So Qimo was always just a set of custom configs for XFCE. It used all the games that were in the Ubuntu archives. The artwork used to be in the Ubuntu archives. I don't think it is anymore, but you can still download the wallpapers. There wasn't a whole lot of custom code to it, so you're not losing out on much with it not being developed anymore.
Yeah, but now seems very easy with QML to make a simple app with a simple UI. I think maybe once Unity 8 hits the desktop, we're going to see this kind of apps with simple environments, and we have really lowered the entry bar with QML. So I think it paves the way for nice apps and nice interfaces. Next question: what needs crowdfunding in Ubuntu at the moment, if anything? For me, nothing comes to mind. Maybe except Minecraft, but it's not at the crowdfunding stage anymore. You can buy Minecraft units, well, pre-order Minecraft units, and it supports Ubuntu in the sense they are working on pretty advanced stuff, where they have big ambitions on AI for the desktop and phones, speech to text, and text comprehension. So yeah, if you are supporting Minecraft, you support all this on your desktop. At least that's my view of things.
Another thing you can help fund is the phone porting efforts, and I see Alan's already mentioned this, but ubports.com, the guy who runs that, Marius, he uses donations to buy devices that he then targets Ubuntu ports for. So he's been able to fund the purchase of quite a few devices already, and we're trying to bring in more porters to start working on that using the ubports framework. And we'll be able to get people those devices also that way. So that's one way you can contribute. If you want to contribute to the community itself, we have a community donations fund. When you go to download Ubuntu, you'll see a page where you can send a donation to various things that Ubuntu is involved in, both engineering and also community. And any money that you donate to the community is something that we can then turn around and give back to somebody who's doing something for Ubuntu. Sometimes that's getting them hardware. Most of the time it's sending people to events, either conferences or hacking sprints. We've been able to get a lot of people together to work on code and stuff over the years that way. We do quarterly reports of that money, so you know that it's being spent well and it's going to people who are actually using it to make Ubuntu better as a whole. So that's always a good way that you can contribute financially to Ubuntu. And if you go to community.ubuntu.com, somewhere in there, there's a direct link to that page where you can contribute.
Simon is asking, I'm too scared to flash my Node 2. Where can I find an Ubuntu phone emulator?
If you install the Ubuntu SDK, it comes with an emulator, but I don't think it emulates the whole phone experience that much. It's really designed just to let you run your apps and test your apps out. As far as a full phone experience emulator, I don't think we have anything like that. And I don't think that there's an active port for the Note 2, although I could be wrong. You can check the devices list on the wiki for that. Easiest way is to just go buy yourself a Nexus 4 or something. They're pretty cheap anymore. And then flash Ubuntu to that.
Chloe is asking, what devices on Ubuports are you excited to see Ubuntu on? I'm really looking forward to the Fairphone 2 port. I think it's a fantastic project, and Ubuntu running on it is just a nice match.
Yeah, I agree. It's a really neat piece of hardware. It's a really nice philosophy that they've had while they've been developing it. So I'm excited about the Fairphone 2 also. All right, we're running short on time, so I think we need to go rush through some of the last of these questions. Libre Sponge asks, what are the environmental commitments made by Canonical as far as the 2016 Paris UN agreement? I have no idea. I don't know what was going on. If that was the climate change agreement, then I don't think we were a part of that.
I don't think so. Well, at least or maybe I don't remember. I don't know. There was the 2015 climate conference in Paris, but that's pretty much it. I'm not sure about 2016.
All right, Fabian asks, will the experience of the Unity 8 session in 1604 with a touch screen different from the tablet experience? Yes, if you're running it as a desktop, then you're going to get the standard desktop experience where you've got multiple floating windows that you can move around, resize, and all of that. Whereas on the tablet, you would have full screen apps, either in the main stage, which takes up most of the screen, or in the side stage that just comes out a little bit. Important thing, though, is that it's all going to be the same code, whether it's on the phone, a tablet, or a desktop.
And you can switch between modes. I think on the tablet you will be able to. Well, I think so.
Chloe is asking, when will I have an Ubuntu phone that can play my Steam games on? I think you're going to need an x86 chip on that phone to play Steam games. I don't think many of them are being compiled for ARM, unfortunately. It would be neat, though. I could see a little ARM Steam box being a nice addition to a home media center.
Simon is asking, how do I get Snappy on the desktop?
So we should have instructions for that on developer.ubuntu.com/snappy to get you started. I think you need to be running Xennial, the development release, or you need to install some PPAs to get the latest Snappy and Snapcraft and all of that.
Seb is asking, does someone play guitar or something like that at the end of these new Q&A sessions? Hey, like the old Jono one. Hey.
No, none of us are rock stars in that respect. Sorry. All right, Libris Bruns asks, what text manager do you prefer? Sublime, etc. So I personally go back and forth between a few different things depending on what I'm working on. If it's an Ubuntu app, it's almost always going to be the Ubuntu SDK just because that's the best environment for that. If it's Python or anything not QML really, I tend to prefer Genie as my text editor of choice. And then, of course, when I'm working on Android stuff, I'm using Android Studio, which I installed through the awesome Ubuntu Make program that Didier has built for us. It makes installing the latest Android stuff really, really simple. You don't have to go get tarballs or branches or anything like that anymore. You just type Ubuntu Make, and it installs everything for you. It's really cool.
On my end, I have a long love story with gedit. For anything that's not Ubuntu SDK related, I'm in gedit. With a lot of plugins and just feel good.
All right. Levin asks, is Ayatana project still alive? So Ayatana was the name of a group of designers and developers who started really customizing the user experience and the look and feel of Ubuntu. That started out with things like the overlay scroll bars and the app indicators. It's really kind of grown from there. I don't know if we still have a specific Ayatana project, but we do have a lot more work going into design considerations before we build something new.
Yes, I think Ayatana was more of a philosophy of bringing human-centric design to the desktop, and even if the project is not specifically active, the philosophy is still here.
Libre Sponge asks, sorry, go ahead.
Where do I get Ubuntu Cola? Well, it would be in your nearest Ubuntu store.
Yeah, so there is an Ubuntu
Yes.
cola that somebody makes. I don't know where you can pick it up in a store, but chances are you can order it off of Amazon. You can get just about anything off of Amazon these days. All right, Seb asked, Jono always took non-tech Ubuntu questions too, so any comments from today's Brussels news then?
Well, I would prefer not to comment myself on the Brussels news.
Yeah, it's really sad news. It's really, you know, not sure what you can say about it. It's terrible what's going on. Our hearts and thoughts go out to everybody who's been affected by it. It's a human tragedy. That's all I can say.
Yeah, in France, the November events are still pretty close to us, and it was an awkward morning, to say the least. And I mean, all our thoughts in France are going to Belgium right now.
All right, let's see if we can end our session on a slightly happier note than that. Let's see what we have left. Seb asks, how come these have changed to an earlier time, or was that just to fit in better with the different time zones of the people doing it? It's 4 p.m. UK time, as it always was, says Popey. If you're in the US, our daylight savings changed. The rest of the world didn't. This tends to happen twice a year at least, sometimes 4 times a year, depending on when other people's time zones change. Generally go by UTC. We try and make everything stick to UTC time.
Question, what's your view of Ubuntu and Odoo? Keep it alive. We have took a question about Ubuntu before. I think the project needs contributors. That comes to it.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is they just need people who are willing to put in the time and effort to keep it going. Join #edubuntu, go on their mailing lists. Anything you can do, artwork, testing, documentation writing, it doesn't have to just be code. There's a lot of work that can be done depending on your skill set. There's always going to be something there for you. All right, we are out of time, so let's end this on a fun one. Chloe Wolfie Girl is asking, when can we see Michael playing guitar while Popey sings in Chinese? I don't know which is less likely, Popey singing in Chinese or me learning guitar. We need to find something entertaining to do, I guess, at the end of each show. Maybe some interpretive dance or something.
Yeah. I could take my guitar, my saxophone, and
I can play air guitar, but I'm pretty sure I'll be off key on that too. All right, well, we have killed another hour. Sorry if we didn't get to all of your questions. You can always ask them anytime on the appropriate IRC channel. We have a bunch of them. If not, you can bring them back to next. It will be some other members of the community team who are hosting that one. But it will be same place, same time, same format as always. You can also watch this video or any other videos that have been recorded as part of Ubuntu On Air on our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Ubuntu On Air. And you can also follow us on Twitter for updates and announcements. Again, Twitter is at Ubuntu On Air. All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you, David, for being on here with me.
Thanks, Mike.
We appreciate all the questions, and we will see you guys next week.
See you
Bye.
guys. Bye.